You're listening to Side Hustle Pro, the podcast that teaches you to build and grow your side hustle from passion project to profitable business. And I'm your host, Nikayla Matthews-Okome. So let's get started. Hey, friends. Welcome back to the show. Today in the guest chair, I have Kristen Dunning, who is the founder of Gently Soap. So today's episode is near and dear to my heart as someone with quote unquote irritable skin, aka eczema. My kids have eczema, and you'll hear in this episode us talk about this and Kristen's own journey to founding this company. So let me give you a little bit of her background. So Kristen actually comes from 5 generations of Black Alabama farmers, and the passion from that fueled the foundation of Gently Soap, which is a bathing brand built on her self-developed herbal infusions that cater to the growing millions of people struggling with irritable skin. During her time at UGA, a top agricultural institution, Kristen pursued 2 agricultural science degrees, embarked on an honors horticultural research project, and secured a graduate research fellowship in crop, soil, and plant science. These experiences allowed her to spend years in greenhouses, refining her overarching mission to show every American how to embrace plant-derived botanical products without compromising skin health and overall bodily wellness. She anchors her brand, Gently Soap, in not just providing cutting-edge, skin-safe botanical products, but also in voicing the underrepresented, like the mere 1% of Black farmers in the U.S. today. Alongside her award-winning entrepreneurship, Kristen continuously studies clinical herbalism, ethnobotany, and has her heart in sharing the diverse history of agriculture in the U.S. and shedding light on the important and resilient contributions from communities of color that have made U.S. agriculture what it is today. She dreams to inspire young BIPOC folks to reclaim space in the future of agriculture. I just think Kristen's background is so unique. I just love how she has strategically gone about growing her brand, increasing her skills, increasing her knowledge, getting as many resources as possible for her business, and so much more. So let's get right into it. Welcome, Kristen, to the guest chair. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikayla. I'm so excited to do this. I actually got your podcast sent to me by a really good friend.
Wow.
She was like, you need to do this. So I'm so happy that you said yes. Yeah.
Yay. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm inspired by you for so many reasons. You are the embodiment of the phrase, I am my ancestor's dream. And we'll get into why in a bit. And also, I also suffer from eczema. My children suffer from eczema. So I am the core consumer here. I am very passionate about this topic.
Well, welcome to the Gently gang.
Exactly. I want to know a little bit more about your background. Now, you hail from 5 generations of Black Alabama farmers. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I do. So on my dad's side, I'm really fortunate enough to be from a Black family that still owns the land that my family has had for generations and generations. So in Dixon Mills, Alabama, we have a homestead that used to be my grandparents', and it just holds so much legacy and generational wealth, but also just so many memories personally for me. So when I was younger, we used to go down there in summer times and visit during different breaks from school and everything. And I will say, when I was a child, I was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing out here but dust and dirt. But
because where did you grow up? You didn't grow up in Alabama.
Yeah, so I was actually raised in Georgia, but his family, my father's family, was from Alabama, so Dixon Mills, Alabama, and that's where we always used to go. And it was when I was younger, I used to be so enthralled and focusing on the fact that there was no Disney Channel down there. But now looking back on it, I am very thankful to have been able to see Black people living a way of life where they were completely self-sufficient, relying on the community. Everything that my grandma got was from other people in her community. And they were also Black growers or Black farmers or Black homesteaders as well.
That is amazing.
So we would go to their friend's house and see them raising chickens and cattle and all these different things. So it's something that you'll never forget. And I think it's really played into a lot of how I view myself.
Clearly,
and how their torch is kind of like shining through me, but also it plays a lot into the communities that I want to uplift as my brand continues to grow.
Yes. And then you went to college to study agriculture.
Yes, so that was heavily influenced by my grandparents. So I went to the University of Georgia and I studied agricultural communication and horticulture. Horticulture is a fancy word for like studying the growing of plants. So I was particularly in the greenhouse management. I never quite took to the being outside part of everything, but I love being in a greenhouse.
Okay.
It's probably my sanctuary. And I love being surrounded by plants. And I was focusing specifically, my research projects were looking at medicinal plants and how they can interact with our bodies, but also our skin topically. So, and that was very much inspired by my grandparents, but also my personal battle with eczema.
So tell us about your personal battle, because people think it's just one size fits all too when it comes to eczema, right? But everyone's journey is unique. Everyone's triggers are unique. What was your experience?
Yes, I love that you say that, because that has been the biggest thing that I've been like wanting to share about eczema. That's why I don't believe in like before and after photos and all those kinds of things, because it's so personal to the person who's experiencing it. So for me, I was born with it. I had eczema on pretty much everywhere on my body, backs of my legs, crevices of my arms, but something that always kind of plagued me was my neck and then scalp eczema.
Okay.
So I say that because those were the two places where I couldn't really hide. So growing up in, you know, school systems and everything, a lot of people, kids are cruel. When they don't understand things, they're cruel. So I remember being like ridiculed a lot for like my flaky skin, or like I was, you know, also like you had eczema, but then I also had like teenage acne layered on top of it. So it was just like a full mess going on.
Oh, God.
And I remember like going to dermatologists, always like I was getting steroid shots. I was getting like topical creams. I had to use like special shampoos. I had to use like these special soaps that the dermatologist would give me. And all I remember thinking is that like, one, my skin is in pain and everything burns. And two, like this is so not like the bathing experience that is depicted in like all of my favorite teenage
the spa bath
movies.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And it's like, I remember specifically that like my mom, she used to be obsessed with Bath and Body Works. And one of the things that she would always do like the semi-annual sales, right? And then she would come in with her bags and bags and stuff and then be like, but this is not for you though. Like you can't use this. And it would be like completely like painful. And I just felt like it was like stabbed.
Yeah.
Like,
Bath and Body Works is like the opposite of what our skin needs.
Exactly. And it was like even worse because it's like with eczema, and it's different for everyone. But for me, I had a lot of like open skin. So anything really was like causing this burning sensation. So I wanted to find a way to bring joy back to the bathing experiences of people with skin like me. And a lot of that was rooted in my love for plants.
And when did you start exploring the medicinal principles of plants? I find that so interesting because it starts from nature. And yeah, it's been developed into some higher tech medicines, but there are things that we can get directly from the ground that are going to help our skin. So when did you start exploring that?
Yeah, it really started for me was kind of my own self-love for it. Like I had it through my grandparents, but my own self-love started in like my AP environmental science class in high school. That was when I started realizing that I was like really into terrariums for some reason. And I was really into like,
I wasn't expecting that.
I know. Yeah. And I was really into like how plants be grown. I think that's when I like started entertaining the idea that like this natural plant version of where science and nature can meet to create solutions was like a thing. I also was like really into like watching makeup, like YouTube. So like Jackie Aina and stuff like that. Like I was always at my sister's basketball games pulling up makeup and like skincare routines on YouTube. So I think I just got really into the idea that like natural is better and nature is better. And then also knowing like my history and my legacy and where I come from, I think that was also kind of just like embedded in me, but I started like really plugging into it myself, like right when I was applying to colleges. So yeah.
And then when you got to college, is that when you started developing Gently, or did that come later?
Yeah. So I started college in 2018 and I was in an honors research dorm. And I knew immediately that I wanted to research plants and eczema. I wasn't sure exactly where that would take me or like what that would turn into. My dream job at the time, like anything that you pull up from like me in high school, is like me saying I want to work for Burt's Bees. I really thought,
why?
I don't think that like entrepreneurship came easy in the sense of an idea that I personally thought that I could follow. I was very much like, I don't know. I think I was raised in like a household that was like, you go to college, you get a job, and that's your life. Entrepreneurship wasn't even a thing. Even like as in a sense, like my grandparents were entrepreneurs, but that was still kind of like viewed in a way of like, they did that so we could be more. So that's not something that we also do.
Okay.
So yeah, like entrepreneurship was not the goal. I thought I was going to use all this research and knowledge to like enhance my resume to go and like do behind the scenes work for like a Procter and Gamble or a Burt's Bees. So as I was like doing stuff in the greenhouse, I don't know, I think I connected with it so personally that the idea of sharing it with others, especially as I was creating like my own herbal infusions and like realizing that this herb belongs with this herb. And if they put them together, like this could happen and all those kinds of things, like the actual like phytochemistry and plant chemistry behind it. I don't know, something about like sharing my brain with like a higher up corporation started to be a very like frictional like disconnect. And that's when I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it really wasn't until quarantine that I decided to actually do something with it. So yeah.
Did you start like making your own soap molds and things like that in quarantine?
Yeah. So the story goes that like UGA, so I started in 2018, continued to work on it throughout 2019. Then COVID happened. So schools started shutting down and UGA kind of sent out this email. I will never forget like how scary that day was, where it's like, we are stopping all research. So anything that you have currently going or working on, like it needs to be off campus by like this date. And I was a girl who had like a whole greenhouse, thanks to my research professor, Dr. Knopf. Like we did a whole greenhouse full of medicinal plants. So I was like, how am I going to move a full greenhouse of medicinal plants like within a week? Basically.
How did you?
So we were like furiously like getting everything out and like drying it because we were like, there's no way we're going to be able to move this stuff like live. So we were like, at this point, we know that it has to like, sad, but like we know that we have to basically like kill it. But like we're trying to dry everything out because there was I didn't have a greenhouse at my house. Like my family lives in the suburbs. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going to take this. And Dr. Knopf ended up taking like part of it to his home and like planting it in his backyard. And then the other half we had dried and put in these like large, like research clear vinyl bags. And I was just like taking these huge vinyl bags full of all of my dried botanicals home to my parents. And they're like, what are we supposed to do with all of that? And I was like, I have no idea. It was surreal because I really felt like we were like on to something. And my professor was about to retire at the time too. So we were like, I knew that like if the school was shutting down, there was a high chance that he wasn't coming back to campus. So it was kind of like a sad goodbye, but I ended up bringing everything that we had grown in the greenhouse, like to my house. And it was like in these bags and it sat honestly, like in our back, like on our back porch or in our garage for a really long time. Cause I was just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like we were supposed to do things. And at that point, I had only really looked at like extractions from the plant, like while it was alive. I didn't even think about like what could be happening with dried. And I think it was kind of in like September when I just started thinking about like, maybe I should do something with this. And I literally was like Googling like DIY skincare. Cause I was like, the first thing that I knew that I wanted to do was something that was like super simple. But I was like, the basis of all skincare is bathing. So doesn't really matter like what you're layering on top of your skin after, if like the full experience of cleansing your body that you do every day is like super painful and like doesn't work for you, because it's like that's where your microbiome starts, that's where your like whole entire process of whatever body care or skincare routine has starts.
Yes.
So like DIY skincare and like soap was like one of the first things that came up. Started teaching myself, like relearning how to make soap, and that's really when it all started.
You say relearning. So did you ever do that when you were younger, or were you doing that in college?
Yeah. So I did it for in the sense of like, I wanted, it was actually my professor's idea because we were going around to different research symposiums, like presenting what we had found.
Okay.
And we were like, what is a way that we can bribe people to show up to our research talks? And I was like, if we give something away for free, and there was like someone in the entomology department who was doing something on cricket flower, was giving away free cricket flower cookies, and they had always had their symposiums packed. And he was like, we should do that, but like with our herbs. And I was like, okay, cookies are not going to work. But he's like, let's do soap. And I was like, that's cool. So he actually bought me like my first soap mold ever.
Oh, wow.
My first,
shout out to
like,
this professor.
Mixer, my first,
amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Knopf is amazing. I'm going to send this to him now because he'll be so excited.
So you were handing out soap.
And yeah, we were handing out like mini tiny soaps like at our research symposium. And that was really
So
when the
smart.
first bar of soap was born in like 2019. So in quarantine, I was like, I'm gonna do that again. I'm gonna relearn how to make soap on my own. And I did. And I was just posting videos about it. I'm like, I'm using all these herbs.
Where were you posting?
Just like Facebook and Instagram. It was really like friends and family who were like hyping me up in like the comments and stuff. And I was thinking like, oh my God, I could do something with this. So it was like October 10th, 2020, I launched the Shopify. Within a couple hours, everything that I had made for like a month prior was completely sold out.
Nice.
And I was freaking out because I was also underselling my stuff. Like it was like $3 for soap at that point. So I didn't even take into account that I would now have to ship these things to everybody or like personally deliver them. I didn't think of any of the logistics. I was just like, oh, it's cool. I made some money. I literally was in a hole because I went to like Office Depot to look at like shipping supplies. And I was like, this is insane.
Yeah. And then did you have to do like special packaging to make sure the soap stayed through the shipping process?
Yeah, I mean, I just put them in like these little soap saver bags and like put a tag on them. And it was very simple and very cheap and kind of like ugly. Like it was whatever I could find at Dollar Tree, which Dollar Tree is not even the least expensive thing that you can find nowadays. But it's like, I don't know. It was definitely the beginnings of like, I had no money or no intention of it becoming this big. And it was, I was like, I don't know, school's out.
That's
like,
amazing.
Like,
yeah. And 10-10.
How can I just like start something?
Right. 10-10, 2020. Yep.
10-10, 2020.
Very
Yeah.
magical date right there. So now you officially launched into the atmosphere. And I want to know what happened next, because you went from just selling to friends and family to now you have this huge company. Well, huge versus what you thought it would be, right? You've been on Shark Tank, you're doing all this stuff. What happened next?
Yeah. So UGA has a community garden and it's called U Garden.
Okay.
And my friends are there, they run it and I'm still friends with them, but they invited me to their holiday market. And that was my first in-person selling event. So it was there that I was like, oh, like maybe I can just sell this stuff like on the side, like while I'm in school and just like do it because it's fun. I mean, I genuinely enjoy making soap and I genuinely enjoy growing the plants to make the soap. So why not do that? And it just, my biggest goal at the time was like, okay, how do I get into like the biggest farmers market like nearby? And I ended up being like Athens Farmers Market. So I applied to that in like January and then that started in March. And then I was just going to farmers markets on the weekends for the last 2 years of college and selling the soap. And it was called Gently at the time. I originally started like under the name like Professional Plant Girl, which is my Instagram now, but because I had no idea what any type of branding
just
was.
Get started. Just get started.
Yeah, just get started. Don't worry about branding because branding does not matter at all. But until you're like until it does. But
because the product, you had the product. And what was some of the feedback to the product itself? I'm sure that helped you to keep going.
Yeah, everyone was like really obsessed with what ended up being Treasures of the Sun, which is our bestseller now.
Okay.
But back then it was just like an orange bar soap with like no real name. And I think the feedback was like when people, especially at the farmers market, it was like the first 2 weeks before I actually saw someone come back to me and they were like, this has changed my life. Like it doesn't burn and it's like working with my skin. And that was like why I designed it, because I feel like so many products are like, you pick them up when you're like in the midst of a flare up, but then it's like, what are you doing to like preventative care, but also just like in the moments where your skin isn't necessarily in a flare up, how do you still use eczema friendly products to like keep your skin throughout like great throughout the whole entire cycle and lifelong relationship that is having eczema. So it wasn't necessarily like, it's not about healing. It's not even about like full on prevention. It's really just about like an eczema friendly bathing experience that's joyful.
I love
that. And
she
was just saying, I've never been able to use something that has any type of smell. So even this like subtle botanical smell is like, was like a game changer for her.
Yes.
And that's when I really started to realize that that was my value proposition. And that is what I started doing. So
you know
I took that.
Is really interesting to me. And I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off because I'm just so excited.
No, you're fine.
But I find it really interesting that you are very clear on what your value proposition is. And that can take a lot of business owners a while to pinpoint. What helped you in pinpointing that?
Truly, I created Gently Soap for myself, like the 16-year-old girl who was struggling to feel confident in her own skin.
Yeah.
And I was tired of being sold these like quick schemes of like, I don't know. I always like, it's like hair growth oil, you know, like people, you know, like you see the before and after and it's like people rave for it. I feel like it was like the same type thing like going on in like the eczema community. It was like these before and after photos. And I don't know, I started to get in the habit of buying stuff like that. But then if it didn't work for me, I would feel really hopeless and lost and be like, what am I doing wrong? Like what is so... There's so much like loneliness in battling a skin disease or condition like by yourself. And I was like, how can I make that experience more of like this like joyful confidence revolution rather than, you know, talking to people about you need to make this go away or else you're not pretty or else you're not beautiful. But I'm like, how can you just like change it and be like, you have this thing and it makes you more powerful. It makes like it's bridging people together. It's causing community. Like we can be open and talk about it and we can find joy in what is like usually super painful because we're creating joyful experiences around talking about this condition that we have.
And there's this sense of inclusion too, because finally you can be included in this experience of having a luxurious bath experience. You don't have to be excluded. Like, I wonder what that's like, because so many of us, the trigger is perfume soap, scented soap. Like that's what I always used to tell people to simplify. Like I'm allergic to perfume products. Like I can't have perfume lotions and soaps and all that good stuff. Right. But it's like, is that really what I'm allergic to? You know, like there's so much nuance to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so for me, like, so Gently Soap is free of synthetic fragrances. It's free of any type of fragrance, added fragrance, but it's also free of essential oils, which was a big trigger for me. And it was like really hard navigating the world of natural products because essential oils.
Yes, everybody wants to put that in everything.
Every single thing. And the crazy thing about it, especially when you're buying like DIY or like from, you know, people at the farmer's market, that's where I got my start. So I'm not shaming them, but it's like a lot of times people aren't going through like the formulation rigorous like background that you need to actually create a skincare product in general. And because it's not heavily regulated and there's a low barrier to entry to market, a lot of times that amount of essential oil isn't being recorded and or regulated. It's kind of like
it's just a vibe check. You know, like, I like how much this lavender.
It's like, oh, I like this. Let me add a couple more drops. But that's not necessarily what we're supposed to be doing because it's very volatile and it's very allergenic. So it can cause a lot of reaction. So I wanted to create a way to just like get rid of it in products, but still have the benefits of a plant. I'm like, I like what lavender smells like. I like what it does, but I do understand that like essential oils in general are just very irritating to people with skin like mine, especially if you're dealing with like open skin or like actively itching skin. So
and that's what's so unique about your background, because you're right, and that's not to shame anyone, because not all of us can go to school for agriculture and horticulture. Like not all of us start with that path, and then we might gravitate to starting a body care line. However, that's what's so unique about you. That's a superpower in that you've actually studied these plants. You actually understand how they work together, and particularly for some of the most sensitive skin out there. I think that is just so impressive. So, how do you deal with the fact that after you have tried so many things as a person with irritable skin, as you would call it, you once you found something that works, you're afraid, right? You're afraid. Switching costs are high. You're afraid to try something and have it irritate your skin. So how do you get people to actually try your products?
Ooh, that's such a good question. I think the opposite has actually been like the case in the sense of that, like, because there isn't a cure for eczema, and it's like associations are working on it, but it's just one of those inflammatory diseases that happen for humans. And because I think it's just like so many people are like chasing relief. And that is, I don't know, it's sad to me because that's why people are like so quick to just buy anything off the internet and not necessarily fact check it or like see where it's coming from or where it's being sourced from, because it's like we're in so much pain that we're craving anything that can just help.
And for me as a parent, when my children are in pain, I will buy anything. And it pisses me off too, because everything is like $30 for one little jar of lotion.
Yeah. I think my approach to that is, I think it's like in my messaging about the product. Like, I welcome feedback. I welcome criticism. I welcome like conversation surrounding a product. Like, what would you rather see? Like, how can we help you? Because it's like, at the end of the day, like, my goal is to be like a one-stop shop for eczema bathing, for sensitive skin bathing. But that doesn't happen without community and conversation.
Yes.
So I think the biggest thing that I've been doing is just like, as my product grows, like the products that we have now is the same formula, but it's just like the sizing has always been changing. Like, I remember when our soaps were like, they were really small and people were like, this is just not enough.
Right.
Okay, we'll make them bigger. So it's just like, it's like so now they're bigger.
Yeah, listening to that feedback.
So like, yeah, exactly. So it's just like constantly changing.
And then I also heard about your product that most of your buyers actually don't have sensitive skin. So that's kind of a unique experience of starting something for one demographic and realizing that, hey, like, this doesn't just appeal to them.
I think it's because like once the education starts, or like when something like this comes out where it's like I'm talking about it, people start realizing that like it's actually kind of the better choice for a skin overall. In general, because when you create something, it's kind of like the Topicals founder. She talks about how like when you create something for melanated skin, you create a better product for all skin.
I like
when
that.
You create something for eczema and sensitive skin, the most sensitive of skin types, you create something that's better for all skin types. And that's kind of the angle that we're working with here. It's to be inclusive of all skin types, but work for the most sensitive of skin types.
That is really good. I get that. I like that a lot. And then your repeat order percentage is really high, right? What is it? Something like, what's the percentage at this point?
78%.
That's awesome. What are you doing? What's the secret sauce?
Oh my gosh. I the secret sauce. I think it's just, I honestly, my advisors tell me that it's truly they say it's my personality and the way in which I interact with my customers. I think more than anything, I just want people to feel special no matter what skin type or skin condition they have. And I think like the joy of it, like the joy of our branding, the joy of when you open the box, like it seeps in through all of our packaging, it seeps in through our materials. And, you know, Shark Tank was the best thing that happened for us, but it was also the most like stressful thing.
I can imagine.
Because we were so small. But like even be able to come out of that with so much more learned experiences and to like use that to continue to grow, because that is our superpower, is that like 78% of our customers come back within 6 months.
Yes, that not a lot of businesses can say that.
So that's our bread and butter.
Let's go back for a bit to the kind of startup timeline. So you start this while you're a junior in college, and you grow it. By the time you went on Shark Tank, what year was Shark Tank? 2022, 2023?
2023. So literally September of last year.
Wow.
So.
And at that point, how much had you done in sales?
That's a great question. Okay, so 2020, first year of business, like 5,400. Second year of business, 2021, we did 30,000. Again, this is like side hustle.
Yes.
So that's why I'm so happy to be side hustle pro.
Exactly.
I was in school full time.
You're in the perfect place to be shared.
All of my revenue is only from farmers markets on the weekends. Okay. So 2022 was like 112,000.
And what changed? Had you graduated at that point? What caused that jump?
Yeah, I graduated in I was in grad school, so everything is blurred together. So I think spring of 2021 is when I graduated from undergrad. And then I was in grad school, but I graduated on like May 15th, went into grad school May 18th. So school was all combined together. Yeah. But I think it was really kind of like the heightened elevation of collegiate pitch competition. Okay. So I've won over $300,000 at this point in collegiate pitch competitions. Nice. Funding, like free grant funding. Yes. So being on those stages, traveling across the country and pitching from like college to college and whatever, that helped give me a little bit of brand awareness and at least traction within that community. Then it was like after a pitch competition, someone actually convinced me to apply for Shark Tank. And then 2023, we did around 300,000 in sales. So, but this year we're on track to do 1.2 million. Woo, so that is insane.
That is beautiful. And I love, seeing that trajectory, hearing about that. So I'm, that's why I wanted to just stop and really understand. And you went from side hustle, you're full-time now, right?
I am full-time. This is my full-time job. I just graduated with my MBA.
Nice.
And this is what I'm doing, which is insane.
Awesome. Now, you talk about Shark Tank and the Shark Tank experience. What was a little bit challenging about going on Shark Tank? Like, first of all, tell us what happened when you went on Shark Tank and then the aftermath, so to speak.
Yeah. I want to start this by saying that I was incredibly lucky and I'm so grateful for my Shark Tank experience because I was in the van with other Shark Tank people that were going to film that day who were on their like 7th or 8th trying to film. And I applied in February of 2023, heard back while I was at a Taylor Swift concert in May 2023, filmed that June. And then by September, I was airing and I was the first episode of my season. So my experience is unlike any other. A lot of people don't even make it through to filming their first time, let alone actually get to be aired. So very grateful for that, but that was all God. So when I started Shark Tank, my lifetime sales was around 163,000. And I think I said that on the show or something around there. And I didn't have, that's not technically a lot because I had been in business since 2020 at that point. So it was around 3 years, but I explained to him, like, I was in school. Yeah. I didn't even think that this was a real thing. The fact that I'm even, the fact that I'm even like standing here is like, honestly, like beyond me because this is not my full-time job. Like I'm still in school. I was still in school at that point. So I was really just like going in there, selling the dream because I was like, it would be great if I could do this full time, but I'm just not there yet. And luckily, Candace Nelson, my shark and my bestie, my mentor, she bought into it. So I just don't think that you need to have like 500 or millions to go on Shark Tank. I feel like you should go with like whatever traction you had because my superpower was what I shared in the tank, which was like, people are coming back though. Yeah. I see a path to growth. I know how much it costs to like acquire customers. I know that this can scale. I just don't like, I'm a plant scientist. Yeah. I don't know how to like be CEO yet. And I need someone to like help mentor me so I can take on that role
and you're growing
be a little bit more marketing focused.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like you have the advantage, like you're young. So, it's so awesome. You're starting so young, but at the same time, you're starting so young. Right. And it's like, you haven't even worked for someone else yet to even like have some of the exposure to grow your own company. So it's so cool that you can start so young, but at the same time, it's pros and cons to it. And it's just a testament also to the fact that people invest in people. Like you think they're investing in your company, but they're investing in you, right? And do you feel so proud of that? Like they are seeing me, they're seeing what I can do, and they believe in me.
I mean, Candace tells me to this day that like she bought into me immediately because of my energy when I walked through the door. Yes. She was like, I don't know what she's selling, but this is it. And she was like, that's the energy. Yeah. That's why they always want me to do videos and stuff like that. Cause like, that's the energy that's like Gently is all about joy, but they were like, Kristen is also all about joy. Like you just have this bubbly, joyful energy, which translate through like bubbly, joyful soap, which is really cool.
And what's your tagline? I forget it, but I love it.
So we have like the joy in bathing, but we also have real herbs and real joy.
Real herbs, real joy.
All of our soaps on the back, it always says like this bar soap is infused with like rose, chamomile, and joy. So we're always like,
I love that you bring that out though, because you think, you know, it's something that's so simple, but you immediately get it and you immediately feel it. And I saw something recently that talked about influence, and it talked about like telling people what they're going to experience actually works. Like if you start out a talk and you're like, this is going to be the best talk you've ever heard. I mean, of course you got to follow it up with good info, but it actually works to anchor people. So telling people like this soap has joy in it, it works.
Yeah.
So I love that.
And I think what's great about where we are now is that like I don't even have to like hold all of the responsibility of doing all the talking anymore, because it's like now it's like our reviews are on the website and stuff like that. And people are also feeding into that conversation. So yeah. So like the first year I was like hitting it hard trying to convince people, and now I'm like, but look at all the proof.
Hello.
Yeah.
And speaking of Shark Tank, let's talk a little bit about something else that's impressive of what you've been able to do. And let me know if this is still the case, but you have had high margins for a bar of soap, right? Like people think, you know, like you did, like I gotta start at a low price point and all this other stuff, but you actually found a way to have really good profit margins. So the difference, you know, between the cost of goods and what it costs you to make it versus what you sell. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that is testament to one, the qualities and ingredients. So I think like, you know, I told you like when I first started selling, I had no idea how anything worked. And cost $3. Now our bar soaps are $11. And having those profit margins are very important because it allows me to spend more on customer experience. It allows me to partner with only US growers for our herbs. It allows me to like only source from US, only use US manufacturers and all those kinds of things. So I think because I put so much emphasis and care into where our herbs are being sourced from, like even when I was growing everything myself, and when it got to the point where that was like not sustainable because we were selling more than I could grow, and it's like whatever, I still wanted to partner with like Black farmers. I was like contacting Black growers in Georgia and North Carolina and Florida because I really wanted that to be like a thing. And like even now it still is. So I'm really like hyper focused on our supply chain and where that is coming from. And it allows like having our profit margins where they are allows me to make the best decision for my consumers in the products that I'm giving to them. So
I love it.
I think that is a testament in itself. So.
Yes. And even being able to speak to that again, that takes time. So I'm also really impressed by your ability to articulate not only your unique value, but then also even the importance of your profit margin. And I just really love that. So you mentioned you were in grad school. You got your MBA, right? Did this come from that experience or also from having this shark as your coach?
This came from the experience of realizing I knew everything about plants and nothing about business. I was tired of going into different rooms and having everyone like say these like acronyms. I'd be like, wait, what does LIFO, what does FIFO mean? And it's like all these accounting things. And I was like, I don't ever want to be the smartest person. I mean, the dumbest person in the room when it comes to my business. If I'm going to be CEO, I need to be CEO. So I went and I got my MBA and I just graduated 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, congrats.
So now I feel a little bit better. I at least know the basics and understanding. I think a lot of entrepreneurship, what I learned from going through the program too, is just like you learn it while you're doing it as well. But at least now I have some case studies under my belt to push me along.
Yes. And it's interesting because I think it's so smart to get your MBA while having a business because you're able to apply it right away rather than just like have the theory and the case studies, and which is nice and everything. And you still learn a lot, but being able to apply it to an actual business is so very smart. And a lot of things that people don't talk about from these graduate degrees, it actually is having that confidence to be able to be in the room, be at the table and understand what the hell is going on. And
Yeah.
they don't put that in the brochures, but it's important, especially for us.
And having the confidence to like admit you know nothing, go do something about it.
And realizing, because that's another experience, you get through going through the program, you realize that other people, aka non-Black people, are more confident in being able to say, hey, I'm actually smart, but I don't know this part. And that's cool. That's great. That just shows you how smart I am. So it's a lot to unpack, but it is helpful. So I love that you did that as well. And now it shows. I can tell just in the way you speak, right, that you have this business acumen.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm proud of you. All right. So we're about to get into the lightning round. But before we do, I'm curious, what has been your approach to marketing? Do you have a team? Do you have a strategy? Or has it been like word of mouth for now until you can build up a team?
Yeah. So 2020, 2021, 22, word of mouth. Did nothing. 2023, we dipped our toe in digital marketing. And that was the first time where I was like, we're going to stop farmers markets. That was the year.
Wait, you said you're going to stop?
Like, it was.
Why?
Yeah, so it was really sad because I couldn't in order to scale farmers markets, you need a whole team of people going to a whole bunch of different farmers markets to make more money than if you were in one place. It was just me. I could not be in Nashville, Atlanta, Athens, all in one day. So I met my marketing advisor, Kevin Planofsky, and he was like, e-commerce is going to be our way to scale this so you can do the things that you want to do, which is like go to in-person events and have like a little bit of relaxation. Yes. So 2023, he convinced me to like really try and put a little bit more emphasis on digital marketing. And we started with Google ads and then also like making our website look better. Then Shark Tank happened and we were like, we need a new website now. So we did a full redesign and had it like up literally like 2 days before the episode premiered, which was scary. And then we basically let Shark Tank like play out how it was going to play out. And then we like start of January this year, we poured more money into like digital marketing and now like Google ads, Amazon ads. We just started Facebook ads a month ago. And it's like, honestly insane how much it's working now. I think it's just because we have so many more assets of like and understanding our branding now. Like before I was trying to figure out what I could and couldn't say to like not get banned off of Instagram and stuff like that. So now we understand kind of the parameters of who we're talking to and communicating with, and also interviewing the customers that we have to realize like, what are you searching? Like, what are you looking for? So we can show up to more people like you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I understand that journey that you have to go through, right? To get to that, everyone has to start somewhere. So thank you for sharing your journey. And then speaking of that, now a lot of people lose money or make a little bit of money in the first few years, as you have shown. What has been your experience overall? Like, have you been profitable? Have you now gone kind of in a hole as you're scaling? What has been your experience with the financial side?
Yeah, so I was profitable in all of my build-up years. I mean, farmers markets, I wasn't making far enough to even, I didn't pay myself anything, like not even a part-time salary. I was just throwing everything back into the business. 2023, we were building so much that we were like a little bit less than profit. So I think we were like $11,000 in the hole, which is still not even a lot. So now we're working at a profit. And I would say that like, in the history of my business, we've been profitable mostly. Yeah. The only times that we weren't is when it's like, I had to pay legal things to get these deals closed. And I was like, I didn't know how much lawyers cost. And that was insane.
How big is the team now? And you're in headquarters, it looks like. I see the Gently Soap. Yeah. And you guys can check her out on YouTube to see. So how big is the team? How big is the headquarters?
Yeah. So my advisory board is 3 people. Okay. Then it's me, founder and CEO. And then I have my family and then part-time, full-time employee working in fulfillment. So it's less than 10 people. Okay. It's about 7 or 8 people. Yeah. And a lot of the people that we employ as far as like website, marketing and stuff like that are all contractors, which I highly suggest to any small business owner, because bringing on full-time employees is hard. Like you are now responsible for someone's day-to-day living and also medical and everything. So the more that you can like find independent contractors to pay when you need them, and then just like not necessarily have the full like financial responsibility of supporting their families, is so much better.
And so now let's get into the lightning round. You know the deal. You just answer the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I
All
am.
right. So, number one, what is a top resource, not Google, that has helped you with building Gently Soap as a side hustle that you can share with the Side Hustle Pro audience?
Collegiate pitch competition grants.
Oh,
I know
yes. You want a bunch of money.
yeah, it's just like grants in general, whether it be from like Black Ambition,
Mhm.
which I was an award winner
Yeah.
for this year.
Nice.
Aveeno, I'm their skin health startup of the year for this year. Got $100,000 grant from them.
Yeah.
Thank you. Essence has grants. Dark and Lovely has grants. Just like
Nice.
grants.
Look for
Apply for
all the
grants. I don't
grants.
get them
Yes.
all. I don't get them all. Apply for them all because free money is the best way to grow.
Yes, I love that for you and for everyone and for all of us. All right. Number two, who is a non-celebrity Black woman entrepreneur who you would want to switch places with for a day to learn, pick their brain?
Ooh, Nikeo Greco.
Ooh, and who is that?
She is the founder of 13 Loon, which is it's like e-commerce, and she has like actual brick and mortar stores now for Black and brown founders. Ooh. And it's for beauty founders, especially. And Gently Soap is actually sold there. She's our first high-end beauty retail partner, which is great. But she's also just like a powerhouse of a beauty brand, like connoisseur, like advisor, consultant, editor, but also she also has her own brand, which is Relevant Skin, which they sell in her stores as well. Okay. So
we got
all things Black and brown beauty.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Number three, what is a non-negotiable part of your day these days?
Ooh, my journaling and prayer time. That is non-negotiable. Yes. Because I need at least like 2 times out of the day where I'm not thinking about anything gently related, and that is literally like journaling and praying and or running, which is like my new hobby.
It's so important. Number 4, you might have touched on it, but what is a personal habit that is helping you be significantly successful and just show up right in your business?
I think like listening to podcasts. I know that's crazy, but
we love
my drives into my drives into the headquarters and stuff like that has been like, I don't know. Also, like audiobooks have been a really big thing for me recently. But that is, I'm telling you, like pouring into yourself when you're not at work is so important. So that way, when I am at work, I can focus completely on what I need to get to do done. And like, this is the first year where I'm prioritizing that like life balance, because like last year I was like, go, go, go. I was like flying all over the place. And like also Shark Tank was like, I was here until like 4 a.m. packing orders, and I didn't really have any time to actually to feed into myself. So now I'm like, I'm doing that. That is happening because the happier that I am in my like in wellness of my whole life is better for the company in general.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. And then finally, what is your parting advice for fellow side hustlers who want to start their own company but are worried about not having a steady paycheck?
I think the biggest thing to always remember if you're like facing a decision of like when to leave your job or like, should I leave my job? How do I know the side hustle is working? Or like even the thing about to like start a side hustle, to even start, is when you are 80 years old, 90 years old, 95, however long you were graced with on this earth, and you're like laying in your deathbed, like you don't want to be like, what if I would have started that thing? Like I cannot imagine how like heartbreaking it would have been to like never have started Gently and just been like, what if I would have done something with all of my research, you know?
Yes.
And that is the most important thing. It's like to answer all your what ifs, so that way when you look back at over your life, you can say that like you truly followed every dream. And it might fail. Like most of our startups fail. I don't even know I learned in Techstars that the percentage is actually very high. But the most important thing is that you did it. Like you can say you did it and you'll learn something, whether it sends you back to your corporate job or you end up like flourishing and like being a next big company. Like you've done something and you're learning so much from it, and you're going to be a better person regardless. So
so wise words. Yes. And you touched on it. I forgot to mention this in the episode, but you're also a part of Techstars. Is that current or is it something you graduated from? And how did that program help you?
So I did Techstars New Orleans so Black Ambition, Shark Tank, Techstars, Aveeno were all happening
I love
at
it.
the same time though. They were all happening at the same time, like Q4 of last year. So Techstars was great. I absolutely loved it. I loved the people I met. I loved my managing director, Melissa Pegas. Love all of them. I have graduated from the program, but I am an alumni. So I am currently going to a lot of alumni events, especially the ones that are in Atlanta or New York. So I don't know. I think that's one of the best accelerators I've actually been in, and I've been in quite a few, but I think it was so personalized and focused on you. Like everyone truly wanted to help specifically my company and like figure out how it works. So yeah.
I love it. I love to hear that. Like, there's so many accelerators out there, so it's good to know. And I hope that, you know, anyone listening, that one of your takeaways from today's talk can just be, you know, go after those resources. Look up every single one that Kristen mentioned, and, you know, apply for those pitch competitions, apply for those accelerators, and just get every resource you possibly can for your company, because why not? So where can people
chase your dreams?
Yeah, chase your dreams. Where can people connect with you and Gently Soap after this episode?
Yes, so you can find Gently Soap products on our website, gentlysoap.com. Very easy. Our Instagram is @gentlysoap. You can also find them on Amazon. It has Prime, so if you're a Prime bestie, then you can do that.
Oh, you're speaking my language.
You can also find them at 13 Loons LA store or on 13loon.com, which is the beauty retailer I mentioned before. Mm-hmm. And then me personally, I am Kristen Dunning on LinkedIn and also @Professional Plant Girl on Instagram. I really want to have Instagram now. Yeah, so yeah.
Hey, you're a busy woman, okay?
Yeah, no.
That's all
when
you
Twitter
need.
like became like X, I like deleted it. So it's like,
bye. All right.
Yeah.
So with that, you guys, this has been an awesome conversation. I myself really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait for you guys to listen, reach out to Kristen, and to take action after this episode. And I will talk to you next week. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Side Hustle Pro. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other side hustlers just like you to find the show. And if you want to hear more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Side Hustle Pro. Plus, sign up for my 6-bullet Saturday newsletter at sidehustlepro.co/newsletter. When you sign up, you will receive weekly nuggets from me, including what I'm up to, personal lessons, and my business tip of the week. Again, that's sidehustlepro.co/newsletter to sign up. Talk to you soon.